What did you do with the papers that were up here? Oh, front. Okay, thank you. My notes. I want to, first of all, kind of start off, and I know those of you who were here a couple of weeks ago when Glenn was up here and he was saying some things, and I mentioned about a weak mind or something like that. Well, I was talking about my own. I wasn't talking about his. So I'll just let you know that. And then he invited everyone to come over to my house and to see all that I have. And I know the reason he did that is because he is very devious. He knows he's been in that place and he saw what a mess it was. And he knew that if I thought people were going to come to see it, I'd clean it up. And I did. It worked. Well, you know, this week we did experience that special day of love, Valentine's Day. And I hope that most of you had a significant other that you shared with and maybe gave a present of, you know, chocolates or whatever. My wife, I gave her a paper shredder. What she wanted, hey, you know, what do you do? But, you know, Valentine's Day does say a lot about love, and our faith says a lot about love too. And as most of you know, Kathy, my wife, she's Roman Catholic, and I was a Protestant minister. And so, you know, how did those two go together? Well, before we were married, we sat down and talked about that and thought about it and realized that both of our faiths were talking about love and how important it was. And we said, okay, that's all we need. The Beatles said that. Anyway, but all we need is love. So we've made it over 51 years now. So, but, you know, I have a question too. I was wondering, what does unity say about love? Well, here is the 5 basic unity principles. There's only one presence and one power active as a universe and in my life, God the good. And we should say that every single day and remember that and make a, you know, that's a very important point. Our essence is of God. Therefore, we are inherently good. God is good. He created us in his own image. Therefore, we are also inherently good. Of course, you know, sometimes we want to be bad, but we're essentially inherently good. This God essence was fully expressed in Jesus the Christ. Definitely, definitely. We are co-creators with God, creating reality through thoughts held in mind. This came from the movement that they were in at that time, the idea that the power of the mind is really great. And they began to, these were people who were beginning to wake up and they began to see the power of the mind. And so they put that in there. We're co-creators with God, creating reality through thoughts held in our mind. That's how we create our reality. Through prayer and meditation, we align our heart mind with God. Denials and affirmations are tools we use. Most of us will use affirmations. Not too many of us use denials, but you know, that's still in there. And through thoughts, words, and actions, we live the truth we know. Absolutely. Wait a minute. I didn't see the word love in there, did you? Oh, where's the love? Oh. Yes, it's implied in all of it. You're right. The word was not used, but it is implied. Now, I want you to think about that because, well, let's talk a little bit. I'm going to go a little bit of science right now, okay? You know, my favorite scientist, physicist is Nassim Haramein. You may never have heard of him, but he's self-educated, believe it or not. He's kind of like the Da Vinci of our time. He is a genius, and he has come through many breakthroughs in science that we're going to hear about in the future. Your kids and grandkids will hear about it. But Nassim, when he started, he looked at all that the physicists were doing, and they were studying a planet, they were studying stars, they were studying black holes, they were studying the things that are out there in all the universe. And he got to thinking, well, wait a minute. If you take all the matter that we can see and record, that's about 5% of the universe. Whoa, we got 95% empty space. Maybe the space is important. And of course, Einstein said the gravity was not pulling, something pulling it in. Gravity was simply space itself that curved and had a planet down here, and it curved down. So anything coming that way would curve toward the planet because it's following the curvature of space. So Nassim Haramein began to study the space. He began to look at the space between our objects. He began to search space because that was important. In fact, look at yourself. You're 99.99% empty space. And I don't mean just up here. I mean, if you took all the atoms and put them all together, it'd be smaller than a pinhead. I mean, that's what you are. But who are you? You're not the atoms. If you're not the atoms, then you must be the space. You must be that empty space. The space that holds you together. Show you how important space is. We all know, where's the sky? Point to the sky, huh? Oh, yeah, you point up there. Don't Well, where is the sky? You say it's up there. Well, how far up? No, she says it's in here. It's an empty space. The sky is really not a thing. The sky is the space in which other things exist. The airplanes, the birds, the clouds, those are all in the sky, but the sky itself does not exist. It is the spaciousness which gives everything else the space to be in. Even the pollution. But it is the spaciousness that we could not exist without. We have to have the spaciousness in order to exist. If there was no space between us, well, you talk about being together. There's no space between us, but there is space between us. And that's what gives us our ability to be separate, or at least the illusion of separateness, is the space between us, the spaciousness that's there. The sky is kind of its spaciousness. Now, this is going to sound strange, but the sky is the ground of our separateness. It is the basis for our being separate, of being able to be or think ourselves to be separate. But have you ever experienced spaciousness? You have. You just don't realize it yet. I didn't turn this on. Talking about not realizing things. Okay, now you can hear me a little bit better. And they can hear me over Zoom too. Yeah, they could hear with this. But let's experience some spaciousness, okay? Take a deep breath. Don't close your eyes. Take a deep breath and just simply be aware. Be aware of everything around you without labeling what you see, without thinking about it, without trying to analyze it. Just be aware of it. Don't let that incessant voice in your head keep talking to you. Just look around and see what's there. See the things that are here, what you can smell. Well, maybe you don't want to do that, but what you can feel. You can feel the seat beneath you, the clothes on that you're wearing on your body. Just be aware. Don't try to talk to yourself about what you are experiencing. Just acknowledge it. And if you're out in nature, it's even easier. You can I can look through those windows and I can see things, and it's easier just to acknowledge it and to be aware of it without the self-talk, without the analysis. Now, how do you feel?
Spacious. Good answer, good answer.
Do we have another word?
I feel like a lizard.
A lizard.
I know I never did, so I'm announcing it.
Okay. All right.
Lightheaded.
Lightheaded. There's the ways that we feel when you are observing things, but what it really does is it brings to you a quietness, a sense of space, peace. When you are aware of all that is around you without thinking about it, you feel a little bit of that spaciousness that I'm talking about. Now we're going to take it a step further. Become aware of yourself right now. And I'm not talking about the historical self. I'm not talking about all that you've done in the past or all your expectations for the future. Just be aware of yourself right now at this moment as a conscious presence. Can you just be aware of that? You don't have to remember who you are, but rather remember or think about the fact that you simply are. You don't have to think about the past, all the things you've accomplished, all the things you've done, all the mistakes you've made. Oh, I just made you think about that, didn't I? Well, set it aside. You don't have to do that. You just have to be aware of this moment. Become aware of what is left after you get rid of the historical self and after you get rid of the anticipatory self. What's left is the I amness. And when you can do that, you become aware of a spaciousness that opens up to give you space to simply be right here, right now. There's a spaciousness around you where the mental noise quiets down. It's the arena of non-thinking. You know, this is what is beyond love. I didn't go through on the rest of this. I'm going to go with the rest of this now. We know, went the wrong way. Okay. This is Buddha's thoughts on love, just to give you an idea of what he was when he was talking about love. You yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection. Buddha said that. Sound familiar? Know someone else who said something like that? Jesus, yeah. Buddha also said, love the whole world as a mother loves her only child. That's love. Now, Jesus, thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all our soul, with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment, and the second is like unto it. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Jesus also said, a new commandment I give unto you, that you love one another. As I have loved you, that you also love one another. Oh, science again. All right, what is this? This, some of you are familiar with David Hawkins' scale of consciousness, where he goes from 1 to 1,000. 1,000 is consciousness of Jesus, and a 1 is, I don't know, an amoeba or whatever, I don't know. But it's, each number represents a certain power of consciousness. And it's not linear power. 2 is not, or let's just say 10 is not 10 times stronger than 1. Okay? It's actually 100 times stronger. So you go up in a linear fashion, a exponential fashion, and this is a scale from 1 to 100, the power of consciousness from 1 to 100, where level 1, I know you can't read it, it's too small back there, because I couldn't get all the numbers on there where you could read it, but level 1 has got a power of 1, level 2 has got a power of 2 times 1, level 3 has got a power of 4, 2 times 2, level 4, it's got a power of 8, and then it goes up 16, 32, 64, 120. It goes on up. Each number has a greater amount of power to it, energy. And this is what David Hawkins came up with as a consciousness is like that. Now, level 100 is 6.25 followed by 27 zeros. That's that number up there, very top, up there in the right-hand top. Yeah, 6.25 followed by 27 zeros. I did this in Excel, so I know it's right. But that shows you how much power, just up to 100. And his scale went to 1,000. Now, where was love on that? Love was at 540. Unconditional love was at 540. Hit the wrong button. That was 1.8 followed by 162 zeros. And if, that's great power. Unconditional love has great power. But what comes after that? 540 is not up to 1,000. What is it that can get you up to 1,000? 535 followed by 312 zeros. I had to run the zeros all the way around the room. That is amazing power. But between 540 and 1,000, what is there between there? What is going on? That is almost as much a difference as it is from 1 to 540. And you got, oh, wow, you got that much more. So what is there between that? The Buddha, who reached this level, spoke of the nothingness, the emptiness, nirvana. Boy, that didn't make any sense. Nothingness? Jesus spoke of the peace that passes understanding. Between 540 and 1,000 is that peace that you just experienced a while ago. just for a moment, the area of non-thinking. We were talking earlier about mindfulness. That's misleading because the mind is full. What about mindlessness? That's what this area is mindlessness. The mind, you don't want it there because there is a much more powerful mind behind this spaciousness, this emptiness, this nothingness, which is permeated and is there because of love at 540, the unconditional love at that point. Everything that's beyond 540 is still there. It's just, different. What do these mean? Peace that passes understanding. The nothingness, the emptiness. Well, we've already experienced a little bit of that. And that's what we did in what we were doing. It was emptying your mind to where you are not thinking. And that gives you space to be in the now. It takes, everything's all crowded in together. But when you spread them apart and find the now in the center, the space gives you a space to be present. That is the presence that Jesus was talking about. We talked about the peace that is beyond understanding. Or Buddha was talking about when he talked about the nothingness. A lot of Buddha's students left it at that, the nothingness. But Buddha went on further. He went on up to 1,000 also. It's kind of like words. If I spoke all my words, did you understand that? Speaking all my words all at once? It's hard to understand. You could not understand words unless there was a space between them. What if we wrote our books all one big long word? It'd be hard to read, wouldn't it? What if you left out all the vowels and just put in consonants? That's the Hebrew Bible. Oh, makes you wonder how they got it the way they did. Or maybe there's a few mistakes or misunderstandings along the way. We need the spaces, the spaciousness, in order to make sense of words. It's kind of like the pauses in life, too. You just need to pause your life. Whether your body makes you pause because you get sick for a while, or whether you just simply take the time yourself to pause what you're doing. When I was working, and I was, of course, preaching every Sunday, but I was also working in the school system and a lot of stress to get all the computers in the school in, and superintendent didn't like me. So that was a little bit of stress too. But I simply told the superintendent one time, I'm taking a day off. I'm going to go on my farm and it's going to sit back in the back of my farm and it's going to sit there, which I did. Sometimes you have to have those pauses in life. And when you become centered and begin to just be in the now and notice things without thinking, just be aware, that helps you to truly find that peace that you can't really explain, but you can experience. And it is the silence of the spaciousness of the Spirit that is there. Life itself provides challenges, doesn't it? One challenge after another. Sometimes 2 or 3 challenges all at once. And when that happens, your mind goes, ah, what can I do? I don't know what to do. Don't know what to do. That's when you hit the panic button. Yeah. But even better is to take time to just simply be aware of that moment and to allow the mind to cease for a little bit, or at least to be quiet, more quiet. And when you are in that spaciousness, then what you need for that moment comes to you, because you opened up the space for the information to come to you. When we are familiar with that which is permitted by love, but also beyond love, then we enter into that spaciousness, that presence of who we are. And we know that we are a part of all that is. So let me give you a little exercise right now. Okay, it's a breathing exercise. Put your attention on your breath. You don't have to close your eyes, but you can if you want to. Put your attention on your breath. Don't try to breathe in hard or anything like that. Just be aware of the way that you normally breathe. When you breathe in and when you breathe out. When you're breathing, you're not doing it, at least not mindfully. It's a parasympathetic nervous system that is doing the breathing for you. So you don't have to think about it. It just does it. But you can be aware of it. And when you're aware of the breath going in and the breath going out, and really are aware of it, you are not thinking. You have opened up that space. That's why Jesus, or Jeshua, also told us many times, stop and take a breath. Take a breath. Breathe. Breathing's good for the body. It's good for the soul. The reason he did that was so that we would get into a place where that emptiness would surround us. And in that emptiness, then whatever we needed would come to us because there was space. It's kind of like cleaning your house. If it's cluttered and full of everything like that, you can get rid of everything, and then that allows something else to come in. Also works with churches too. Now, when we can practice this breathing exercise of just being aware and getting into that area of non-thinking, then we open ourselves up to much more. Now, how many of you are going to go home and do this now? Do it every day. Oh, when I get around to it, I will. Well, guess what? Your turn. You're going to get around to it. Your very own round to it. So now you can't say, well, when I get around to it, because you already got one.
You made this, right?
Yeah, I printed it out. You want a plastic one? Oh, okay. Get around to it. So now you've gotten around to it, you can practice the breathing exercise in order to bring yourself into that spaciousness, or to allow that spaciousness to open up around you. Now, when you realize that spaciousness and you are aware of what is around you, even like walking back from there up to here, to be aware of each step that you take. To be aware, as I was this morning coming up here, my shoes are awful loose. I was just aware of them. I don't know, my feet have shrunk or what, but I don't care. I just became aware of the fact that they were loose. Just become more aware. And when you're doing that, you're not thinking near as much. And that incessant little voice in your head kind of, gets to be quiet. Because mostly what it says doesn't come about anyway. And it causes more trouble than it's really worth. It's best just don't think. Ever heard any teacher tell you not to think? Well, this is what the teachers, the great masters, have been trying to tell us. To let us reach that area beyond love, which includes love, but is beyond it, the area of non-thinking, but just experiencing. And when you do that, you begin to know how beautiful this world is. You begin to realize that peace that goes beyond understanding. Know that when you breathe and are aware of your breath and practice it daily, just being quiet in your mind, and don't worry if it's difficult. With practice, it comes easier and easier. And the closer you come to silence, to non-thinking, the more you will find yourself in the Spirit. And you will know that everything is right with the world.